You are listening to 9394, a music podcast with Travis Roy. I hope you're doing good. Thanks for joining me. I got my buddy Morgan back on the show today. He is returning for the third time. He's the first person to come back for a third visit, which means that he can, since he so desires. You don't have to if you do that, but he made the choice to get outside of the years of 93, 94 and look at an album from 1992, the Jesus Lizards' Liar, an album that he listened to and a lot of people listened to throughout 93, 94 and beyond. So to me, it completely qualifies as one of those albums of that era, which that's something I'm going to be doing on this show a little bit. I've mentioned it since the beginning of this pod. I'm not married to albums that only came out in 1993 or 1994. I am equally interested in albums that we were listening to at that time or albums that were a product of that time. So Morgan has a lot to say about Jesus Lizard. I'm excited to have him back. He's one of my best friends. It's always great to talk to him. Here we go.
Hello?
Dude.
What's up?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'll try to keep it R-rated, maybe a little NC-17, but not much.
I would expect nothing less from you.
It's the best I can do. I've been good, man. Been good. Same old stuff. Working.
Yeah.
And doing the recovery thing and spending all day after I drink coffee to get my guitar to where I wanted it to be, which I didn't know I could do. The intonation and the truss rod and all the blah, blah, blah. And then I went on YouTube and looked at it and then completely failed. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for this because why not? And then I did it.
You did it?
I did it. Success.
So is that something that someone like myself would notice the difference from it all from when you started to after you started?
Well, the quickest answer is the A string was buzzing. And so I tried to raise the strings off the fretboard to make it not buzz. Then I realized that this is no fun because I got to work too hard. This sucks. And I'm good, but I'm not that good. And so then I was like, wait a minute. I was like, dude, the whole reason that you play guitar is to have fun. No one cares if the action's high, the action's low. No one's listening. No one cares. So then I was like, all right. So then I put the action as low as I could get it and then adjusted the truss rod and it worked.
The Trust Rod. There's got to be a band called the Trust Rod, right?
Like T-R-U-S-S, truss.
Oh, Truss Rod.
It's a long rod that goes in the neck of the guitar. And then you turn it one way and it goes concave and you turn it the other way and it goes convex. And then one of them raises and one of them lowers. And so I just tried to kind of, I don't know. I turned it one way and then I was like, yes. And then I just kept doing that until I got it the closest I could get to try to play the fastest possible and the easiest possible. And it was so far successful.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good.
Big day.
Yep. And so that closes the book on that story. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. I'm going to stop the podcast here.
Oh, great. Hey, I'll grab another cup of coffee. I'll get some tacos. Before we get started, I'd probably never say it. Thanks for giving me a shout out and having me back on the old podcast. It's always good to see you, man.
It's always good to see you.
I like your shirt. I don't know what it is, but I like it.
It's Green Goblin.
I like it.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you for coming back on. You were the first guest to come on a second time, and now you're the first guest to come on a third time.
Oh, wow.
So that's exciting.
Excited.
And you're also the first person to do an album that's not from 93 or 94.
That was the next thing I was going to be like, I got to call myself out. This is a couple months before 93. So
that's okay. No, that's good. That's part of my point. Like if this came out in late 92, 93, 94 is when people were listening to it the most. So it's like,
yeah, that's true.
It's in keeping with the podcast. That's always been my intention. The examples I typically use are like Incesticide from Nirvana came out in like 2 weeks before the end of 92. So everyone was listening to that in 93. And like all those huge REM videos from Automatic for the People, that album came out in 92, but all those big videos were all 93. So it's like, you gotta like, gotta play around with it a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So since you've been on a few times, we don't need to go through the whole rigmarole of how we know each other. I'll just start with the question that I usually ask a little bit later. You've been listening to anything good? What have you been listening to lately?
Yeah, I have been listening to a little bit of some good. Have I?
Have you?
Yeah, maybe it'll come to me, but actually it's still the same stuff. I was trying to get into something new, but like I went back to Drive By Truckers.
They're great.
Yeah, like what I just listened to today. And sometimes it's guitar stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a session player named Tom Bukovac or whatever, Nashville guy. I don't know. He's amazing. Then to be honest, like as much as I like playing that stuff, I don't like to listen to a lot of that stuff. So like I know that Maskus, he played some big show with a bunch of people.
Yeah, I saw it with Bikini Kill and a bunch of other people.
Yeah, like Kurt Vile and Lee Ronaldo and Warren Haynes and Jason Isbell from Drive By Truck, his originally. Own stuff too.
Yeah.
I was watching that. And I've been trying to get into, again, there's so much stuff that there's really nothing absolutely new. Like Where You Been? I turned on Where You Been.
Fuck yeah.
Dirty South.
Love it.
And then it's been just like some punk rock. I mean, it's just the real standard stuff. If something pops out, like there's Covet. I forgot her name. She's from the band Covet, and she's got the tapping style, kind of like Minus the Bear.
I think you mentioned her before, right? When you were on last time?
I have, because she's always got really melodic, cool tapping type stuff that I totally think is awesome.
That's cool.
There's been a lot of Bear vs. Shark and Bars of Gold because they just played.
And we both missed it. We both didn't go.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. And I wanted to go up there. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes from me, but I was sick. But it's like 1,000, 1,200 miles or something from you. It's a bigger deal.
Yeah. It kind of sucks. But the Bottle Rockets has been a band that kind of sounds like Drive By Truckers. It's got that same type of alternative country feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think Corey actually got me into them a long time ago, because this like $500 shit car song or something like that. You got to check them out. They're really good.
I'll check them out.
And then Mutoid Man, which is the guitarist from Converge. Stephen Brodsky. And then the other, he's in, Cave-In.
Okay.
I respect and think he's amazing, and it's kind of punk metal type stuff. My brother got me into a lot of the like Menahan Street Band, Budos Band, and kind of that type of, I don't know what you call it, funk or like vintage. Like I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, so that's basically it.
I've been bouncing around genre to genre.
Yeah, kind of. I have been searching like, I want to listen to this stuff and get into this, and like I'll listen to like a second of it, and then it'll be like, nah.
If I listen to something new, it's because someone I love who is old released something new.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, if it's very rare that I'm like digging into new music anymore, I just keep on looking further backward, which works for me. I have no complaints.
Yeah. No, with that being said, it's the same like 200 band. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like it's like the same 5, like on your top 5 or whatever. It's like literally like the same close to 200 bands, like Built to Spill, Jesus Lizard, Drive By Truckers, Bars of Gold, Hum, Soundgarden, Russian Circles, Fugazi, Hot Water, the band. Obviously, the band almost nonstop.
Love them. I need someone to come on and do Jericho for me, because that was 93.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't. When I listen to the band, again, I'm like the Weezer guy who listens to a couple albums. It's like Big Pink and their very first one.
Yeah, that's how I do it too. I do the self-titled album, I do Big Pink, and then I do Jericho. I do like 3 or 4 albums, and there's a cover of Atlantic City by Bruce Springsteen on Jericho.
Incredible.
It's incredible. And once I got pulled into that song, I ended up getting into the whole album.
I heard that before. I'm pretty sure before I heard the Bruce Springsteen one.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure.
It's one of those rare occasions where the cover is better than the original. Exactly.
Classic. Yeah. Like the one that I always say is obviously Jawbox's the Cornflake Girl. It's, in my opinion, it's so much better.
Right on. Should we get into Jesus Lizard?
Oh, we can totally get into Jesus Lizard. The most abrasive non-metal band I know.
They are something else, man. So I remember, like, you and I, we talked about it on the show, you and I played in bands and we were always talking music together and all this kind of stuff. So I've been aware of the Jesus Lizard pretty much since I've met you. Is it the Jesus Lizard or is it just Jesus?
I think it's the Jesus Lizard. Maybe there's like Hot Water, where it was the Hot Water one of them. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
I would say the Jesus Lizard.
Okay, I do too. So I've been aware of them for like pretty much as long as I've known you. And I remember them like being on 120 Minutes and stuff like that back in the day, but not much. You know, mostly I just remember like being in our earliest punk bands when we were all listening to the same fucking shit, Blink-182 and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you were still like Fugazi and Jesus Lizard. And I'd be like, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Yeah, that's why I was like, you know, it's not 93, but this album specifically, Liar, I don't know a lot of the lyrics. I don't even know the names. I had to look at some of them. I listened to the whole album all the way through since 90, whenever it came out. Well, it came out in 92, but the first time that I heard it was Andrew Johnson.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and he got me into it. He let me borrow the live album called Show.
Mm-hmm.
It was like stupid. Like, I mean, I laugh sometimes still when I hear Yao's lyrics and some of the stuff because it's so relatable and it's so crazy. And I heard Show and I was like, well, this is pretty wild. I don't know if I like it or not. And then I think I got Liar. And then I was like, holy shit, this is rad. And partly because it was just loud. It was that branch of 90s metal that's not metal. You know, like Helmet, Jesus Lizard, Tool.
Shellac.
Yeah, Shellac.
I get a lot of Shellac vibes. It's really not a surprise they're on Touch and Go. Jesus Lizard.
Right. And I never got into Shellac or Big Black and stuff like that. But this type of metal, or this type of whatever you want to call it, hard rock, there's like a specific genre for me anyway, that there's like 10 bands, like all the way from Primus, which is included, to like Jesus Lizard, to more mainstream, which is obviously like something like Tool, I guess. Not that Primus isn't mainstream, but.
That's so funny because to me, like, I would do the same thing, but I wouldn't name half of those bands. I would name like Shellac, Rodan, maybe some other kind of noise stuff like Laughing Hyenas a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
Definitely like still in that kind of same, like not quite metal, but like not quite sludge, but like, I don't know, but it's very specific. It's a very specific form of indie rock.
Yes, I completely agree. And that's why this is the best of all that stuff. And that's why I listen to it all, in my opinion, again, this is obviously because it's so precise, aggressive, raw, and it's like an acquired taste kind of, because sometimes it just seems like noise, but it's not. It's really actually sophisticated, sharp, precise. The guitarist, Dwayne Dennison, I think his name is incredible. And I usually watch him. Sometimes he's on a rockabilly type side, but he knows a lot. He used to work at Gibson, and I really respect him. Like, his specific style is awesome, I think.
Yeah, I feel like he drives the band. I feel like he's what's really pushing the band forward, which would make sense that you would love it, guitarist guy that you are. But I was always a big vocals guy. So David Yao, for me, it took some work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you could be like, this is just, again, sometimes it's just straight. I mean, and he'll would probably admit it, just straight slop. I mean, I hear, that's why I laugh sometimes.
Just noises.
Yeah, and it'll just be like, ah! I just listen to a lot just because I want to get some of the names down because I forgot them. But some of it's absolutely hilarious to me. Like, just like this fucking blown out drunk, just yelling over like this really intense. Like, I remember Steve Guile one time said, like, he thought like Snapcase was like, put on the most abrasive. And so the word abrasive always comes to my mind. Mm-hmm. But my band for that incredibly abrasive stuff is the Jesus Lizard, because it's tight. There's a lot of musical shit going on. They're like a well-oiled machine with a psychotic drunk on top of it, just spurting out random stuff that sounds wild. And every once in a while, he's got some gems in there that are hilarious.
You know, we just did on my other podcast, Cinema 9, we had our buddy Luke Horlbeck on, and we did the movie Gremlins. And talking to you, I'm thinking of when the Gremlins are piloting the Kentucky Harvester, the big snowplow, and they drive into Dick Miller's house and they kill him. So like Jesus Lizard is like this finely tuned machine being driven by a gremlin. Yeah,
that really, that really is it, I heard, I don't even know if it's true, but I thought I heard they had something called like the Harry Tangerine, where he put his balls in a vice.
I've
like on
heard
stage.
Of that. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like, did that happen? The funny thing is that they played at that Lollapalooza that I was at, I think.
In like 94 or something, 95?
Yeah. Whatever one was with Hole, Sonic Youth played, Pavement played.
I remember you saw the
played.
Boss Tones because I was really jealous that you saw the Boss Tones. Remember
Yeah,
that?
and I don't think I was into Jesus Lizard then because I don't even think I remember seeing them, which pisses me off because I love them now.
So you never saw them since?
I haven't seen them since,
Yeah.
no, and I don't think I don't know. Maybe one day I'll see them. Because this was really the one album, and then I started to branch out just recently, and a lot of people consider I think it's called Goat one of their like the Melvins is another band in that era. For me anyway, that I consider like not metal but super abrasive, and like Houdini would be like theirs supposed to be, but I don't listen to Houdini that much. In fact, I listened to Stoner Witch is the name of the album. Thought it came out in 93 or 94 too, but anyway.
Well, maybe another one that'll come on the show. So in your re-listening, did you find that you like have a favorite song on this album, and has it always been the same favorite, or what's your favorite?
I don't have a favorite song, but I know that, and I have to look at the name. Some obviously Boilermaker, it starts out, and Boilermaker is just so hard hitting in your face.
Yeah.
And then another, I won't name all of them, but I could name all of them except for, I'll go with the one that I don't like as much, which would be Zachariah. I think it's a little bit slow, and it feels like he's putting on a play. It's like, this man walks into a bar. It's like, they play like dirge rock sometimes.
That song especially.
Yeah, that song especially.
That's your least favorite on the album is what you're saying.
And then all the rest are awesome. If I was going to put it on right now, I'd play Dancing Naked Ladies because it drives so hard and it has such a feel. It's like, I love that song.
I made one note for Dancing Naked Ladies, and it is, are human noises technically singing? Question.
Yeah.
He's just like grunting, and like it sounds like he could be taking a shit. Who knows? It's just like he's like climbing something. I don't know what's going on, but like that's the music. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's why I completely understand if people who are more vocally driven or based or what have you are like, the music's great, but I can't get into this. I love his antics. I love how he puts certain things at certain times, but I'm almost always listening to how the drums, bass, and guitar come together and that groove that they have every time. Like on Rope, I think it is, it's got kind of like a more, I don't know, it's like rockabilly meets like clown music. It's like, I think it's that one. And then like Wheelchair Epidemic, it might be the funniest name for a song I've ever heard.
So that one's a cover.
Is it? I didn't know that then.
Yeah, I didn't actually listen to that song. I deliberately skipped it because it's a cover and it wasn't on the original release. It was on like the deluxe edition or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it, and that's why I remember when I had the tape, I was almost positive it wasn't on there. And I thought Dancing Naked Ladies was like the last one.
It was. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. But that one is awesome.
I'll have to give that one a listen. But yeah, I skipped it because I was just trying to go with the original,
Yeah. And Slave Ship is the other dirge, but I love Slave Ship.
Slave Ship works, right?
Yes.
It's harder to put my finger on why Zachariah doesn't work. It's a little dull, but Slave Ship works. It like puts you in this zone. And by the time it kind of like builds towards something, whereas Zachariah is just, like dirge. That's the perfect word. It's just kind of monotonous a little bit.
And Zachariah, it seems a little more disjointed. Like it doesn't flow. Like every other song on this, it's not monotonous. I'm trying to think of the like staccato.
Cohesive, maybe?
Yeah,
like,
it is. The band is extremely tight. That's one of the things
the album
I love. Yeah, the album is. And then I also like his note choices that are so dissonant and work. And how he takes the same riff and he'll raise it a step or lower it a step.
Dennison, you're talking?
Yeah, but I'm also talking like the simplicity that they have. So it's not math rock in any way. At least I don't think it is.
No.
There's a lot of space. This stuff is hard to play because if he's the only guitarist, that's the only, bassist, drummer, like they all got to play exactly right. Like it's impressive to me. And Slave Ship is like, and then Yao, I think Yao's amazing. Then he comes out and he's like, well, he just starts belting out this insanity, and I'm like, yes. I feel my stomach up so full, and I feel like I'm all so full, and I try to grab some more, but it won't go in. When I play it, and I usually play it when I'm riding my bike, I do it, and I have to admit, I do it on purpose because I know sometimes people are going to be like, what in the is he listening to? It's just like this baffle, like I've heard my chef say, be like, what is that shit? I'd be like, sorry.
It's abrasive. Sorry.
Yeah. And there's still that like teenage thing in me where I'm like, yeah, this is fucking cool.
I feel a little vindicated that you said Zachariah is your least favorite song and that you had a hard time picking a favorite song from the rest of the album, because I wasn't going to pick a least favorite song and I'm not going to pick an underrated song, but I really had a hard time picking a best song because the album is just so tight and cohesive. Like everything just blends in together like it's all one song except for Zachariah, which really stands out as being like notably different from the rest.
Yeah, there's just not enough energy. I don't know. And I don't know if this works on albums. Sometimes they'll put the second to last song on an album. Sometimes for me feels like that's the least best song or the crappiest song.
Unless you're listening to a Jimmy Eat World album.
Unless you're listening to
But you're right. It's often like kind of like, okay, we're going to come big here in a minute. So we're just kind of like going to put that one song that we're least into right about here.
I think we did that on Punk Like Urson.
Oh, we definitely did on that album.
Wasn't it like Bottle on it or something? And we were like,
yeah, it was the one that that we recorded and we were least happy with.
Yeah,
I do remember that. You're right. Now, I guess if I had to pick a favorite song of this album, I went with Gladiator.
Awesome.
Yeah, kind of arbitrarily, but I did this thing since I was completely new to the album. I'd never listened to it. I'd heard them before, but I'd never listened to the album until the last few weeks. So the first few times I listened to it, I just kind of like put it on and didn't even look at the track names unless something like pulled me in. You know what I mean? And every time I was like, what is this? It was usually Gladiator or my other... I don't know if it's my favorite song on the album, but my favorite moment on the album is like the most accessible moment on the album, which is in Huss, when it kind of like kicks into that kind of light, riffy kind of like moment.
Yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. And you're just like, oh, it's like a breath of fresh air. I've been underwater. and then like you're back in.
Yes, I was actually going to mention that song. It's really driving. I think they made a music video for it. That one, it seems like the most radio friendly of some of them. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the first chord is completely jagged. The chords he uses are like jagged in the best places, and then he lets off. And that's what another thing is. They really make you wait for the parts that aren't so dissonant, and then you appreciate them more.
Yeah.
Because I think I was just talking about the one guitar. I was listening to another guy talk about like, when you're listening to music, it's like tension and release, and tension and release, and sometimes that's forgotten. So when you get something this dissonant, like I used to make fun of the chords because I was like, this is shit. And then I realized, no, I just haven't gotten that far along yet. Now I'm like, use the most dissonant chord and then chill it out. And then it comes to just, straight 8-note chugging along with palm mute. And then Yao just doing what Yao does.
What Yao does. I was not surprised to learn that he's like an amazing supposed live frontman. Speaking of the Harry Nutsack thing that you brought up earlier, he's like known for his antics. He kind of have to be, given what he's doing on the album, because if they were going to blow up underground as they did first, as I understand, they were always a pretty underground band, still are really.
Yeah.
And they're definitely not aiming for something accessible. It just kind of happenstance. Sometimes it comes along. Yeah. Right. But it's not what they're shooting for, clearly. And then you have him. So it's like he kind of would have to like draw people in if he's just kind of like barking and screaming over the microphone.
Yeah, that's part of the shtick, or that's part of the magic of seeing. Like, that's why I was so pissed too. Like, I mean, they're known to be like, that's why they had that live album. Like, they're known to be just like incredibly tight, and he's just a maniac. If I'm watching a live band on YouTube, I'll put on just Jesus Lizard from like 94, 96 or whatever, and watch him. And he's always half naked with a Budweiser, like almost fighting somebody like in the crowd or jumping around, just acting like, not an asshole in the sense that he's going to fight anybody, but acting like an asshole, just running around and then saying his stuff. Like,
antics.
Which are great. But then I also have to say that on the songs, he knows where to put the barking. I don't like when he does the, like Make Me Another Boilermaker, and some of his lyrics I can absolutely relate to. Like, he talks about shaking a lot. Pretty sure he drank a lot. So I'm always relating to that sort of stuff. And then when he just says like the craziest stuff, like no more dancing naked ladies. And then in Zachariah, he talks about walking into like this goddamn saloon or something like that. I don't know. Some of it's almost like a movie when he talks about it. But The Art of Self-Defense is another great one that I love.
Yeah, that was one of the few that I had heard of. You know what's funny to me is that like I tried back in the day to get into Jesus Lizard and I couldn't.
I understand.
Yeah, I forgive myself. And listening to it recently, I'm still like, Jesus Christ. I'm like kind of laughing at a few parts. Like I feel kind of bad, but like there's a few parts where I'm like, what is happening? What is he doing? And it's all him. Like I love what's going on with the band. I love what's going on with the music. So I'm going to keep listening to them and dig deeper. But it's still like he is a fucking challenge. And it's funny to me because a lot of my favorite artists and musicians throughout my whole life, Dinosaur Jr., Hot Water Music, Tom Waits, I first heard them and I went, what's up with the voice? What's up with the singer? Like, I'm not so sure about this. And then I returned to it like months later and became obsessed. And I never did that with Jesus Lizard. And I don't think that I'm going to, but I do appreciate that you picked this album to kind of like force me in a way to spend time with it so I could start to really appreciate the music that's going on. And I'll be returning to this more.
Good. Yeah, that's the clincher for me. It's the guitar.
Yeah.
The genius of Duane is that there's not one solo in the whole deal, and it's always interesting.
Good point.
The rhythm, how he drives it, how it's sparse, and he knows just how to get the, and then how it's jagged, and then it's really rhythmic. When he needs to create just the right amount of melody, he does it, and then goes back to chilling out. And then hats off to, again, like the bassist and the drummer. I don't know their names, but it's tight, And then again, like that's the magic of it. So that's an amazing tight band. I love the guitar and I love the drums and bass. And then Yao will come over and be like, the art of self-defense. And then he says something like, make me another Boilermaker or something like that. Says it in the way that he does.
Yeah.
Give me something to stop the bleeding. He tends to say stuff at the right moments that makes me be like, more into the music. And then I'll be like, okay, you can go away for a while.
Yeah, he does kind of back off every now and then. It's like he kind of knows his place a little bit.
Yeah.
Another artist that he made me think of weirdly is Van Morrison, because Van Morrison, if you get into like the deeper cuts, especially like the kind of mid-career stuff, when he was really feeling himself, like he would just and just like make all these fucking noises. You're like, what are you doing? Like the balls on this guy. And that's David Yao, like literally again with his balls we're talking about. But I mean, like he clearly just the ego in a good way. I mean, like the bravado, the competence, I guess, to just do that.
Got to be all in.
I don't care that I'm off. I don't care if you're going to like it. I don't care if I'm flat, whatever. Like, this is the band and this is what's happening.
You pretty much nailed it. You pretty much nailed it on that one.
Got to respect it.
Yeah, I absolutely do.
What song do you want to use to go out on for this episode?
I would probably go with Boilermaker.
Okay, we will go with Boilermaker.
All right.
You've earned that.
Thank you so much.
Is there other stuff you want to say? I mean, we've talked about all the songs almost. Is there anything else you want to say about Jesus Lizard or this album before we get into other stuff?
They're just an amazing band. I will say there is an amount of Jesus Lizard that is too much. You know, I've had just about all the Jesus Lizard I can take after about an hour, and so I put it down. But in that hour, it's absolute magic. And if there is a band to see live to do that, to see the band and to see Yao's absolute insane stage performance as a frontman, it would be them.
If they were to tour, I would go just to be able to experience it for sure. And there's not a lot of bands I would see that I don't know, but or don't know well, but I would definitely check these guys out. Although he's been making his money these days by acting. He's been in a bunch of movies lately, David Yao. I don't know what the other guys are doing, but he's been
really
in a bunch of stuff. He's in the new Toxic Avenger movie. He was in Under the Silver Lake. He was in that Netflix movie that was pretty good with Macon Blair in it. I can't remember what it's called.
Wow.
I don't feel at home in this world anymore. That's what.
Good for him.
He's been doing other stuff. He kind of pivoted, which again, he clearly has the confidence. Why not?
Yeah, I have to say, you know, you can't ride on that forever. So I'm glad he's stepping out a little bit. But, you know, they've had like 13 albums and everything I've heard, I've liked. I just like this one the best.
They have that many albums, really?
They have at least 10 because I'm counting 9 now. And then there's the live album, Show, which I'm surprised it's not on there. But Show was always hailed, I thought, as like one of the biggest, best live albums from like, you know, 90s alternative rock or whatever.
I remember when that came out. I remember that being like, you know,
like a big deal, right?
Yeah, like a big deal with the Gen Xers, you know.
Yeah, this will never be mainstream. I mean, instead you're not going to hear, next up, Boilermaker, next to Taylor Swift. Not going to happen.
Right, it wasn't on the Empire Records soundtrack, that's for sure.
Yeah, good call.
At the end of the show, I always, you know, ask other questions, usually related to the 90s.
Sure.
As we've mentioned, you and I were in a band before, quite a few bands actually, including
Susma Tub.
Yep, Susma Tub was one of them, Kill Drama, Rain is Wet, there's others, Coke Bones Malone, who could forget?
Bones.
All the same people, all the same band, just with different names for the most part.
Yeah, like wannabe Sub Poppers.
Right. I had Derek and Jeff from Kill Drama on not that long ago, and we had a little mini Kill Drama reunion.
Oh, my homies.
And it was a bummer that you weren't there to be part of it, so I thought maybe I'd bring some of the questions that you weren't there for to you. Now, instead of getting into the 90s, I want to talk about venues. I want to talk about your favorite venues in Michigan or wherever to play, not to see a show, but your favorite, or maybe like favorite shows that stick out in your mind, whatever kind of like, what sticks out in your mind as far as playing shows back in the day.
Max was always ridiculous.
Yes. So underrated.
Max was always ridiculous. It's usually how crusty. And Max was always has a lot of sad, awesome, mixed memories. That one's always, because I think it's because I really wanted to play it too. Like I wanted to play it there. It felt like it was like the right amount of good and loud and like sloppy and dark and shitty and good.
That really sums it up, man. Because I was trying to think of like, what are my top 3 venues that we used to play back in the day? And I was wondering if you would say Max, because that came up for me too. I don't know if it's my number one, but it's certainly like underrated. Like it doesn't come up. Max in East Lansing was such a fucking dive dump, but there was always like cool people there and cool things going on. We played with really great bands there, and the stage was perfect because the audio never sucked.
I think I fell off the stage, which is why it was fun.
But that's also why it was perfect, because like the stage was like a foot high or 2 feet higher. It was right. It was pretty low stage. We weren't in a lot of danger there.
Right. Yeah, that one does pop out, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd have to think like a little bit longer, but like that's one of the main ones. I mean, the Pig was always fun, but I'm trying to think of something different than the Pig.
Yeah, so Blind Pig would be like the main one in Ann Arbor that was like the cool indie alternative, whatever. And I always loved playing there.
Yeah.
But I liked hanging out there more. Like playing live there always felt like a little bit, I mean, we had one or two really fun shows there, but
yeah,
it always like was a little bit, it was some pressure compared to like, wasn't like the let's get fucking wasted and like who gives a shit? No one's here.
Yeah.
Didn't have as much fun as
those. I can see that.
Those felt more like work.
Yeah, I can see that one.
Over in Ypsilanti, if we go to the Elbow Room,
the Bow, yeah,
that to me was our home base. If I had to pick one main place,
yeah, oh no, that was definitely the home base. There was, the one where you threw up on the stage, and then
in fairness, I did a shot of Jaeger in the middle of the show, which was not a good idea.
I'll never forget that one. And then I'll never forget, like, when I was shaking a little bit, needed a beer. So me and Melissa went up to the Elbow in the morning the day after, and there was still the puke all over. They didn't clean it up. They didn't give a fuck. There was still puke on the thing.
From my puke?
Yeah, your puke.
I really didn't throw up that much, but maybe it was more than I
No, it was just, I went up there and it was just, I was next to it. So it wasn't that much, but it was like noticeable, and it was like, blah, and I was like, oh, this guy's good. And yeah, it was there in the morning. I'm sitting at the bar, like, and I look over and I go up there and I look over and I was like, it's still there.
It was how we ended the set too.
Yeah, it was the last one.
I was held on to it as long as I could, and I did like one big long scream at the last.
Yeah, I think it was History of My Skin. I think it was. Yeah, that was awesome. So.
I'm definitely going to include this, unfortunately. But yes, sorry, people, for hearing about me vomiting, but I'm a human.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah. Any other ones stick out to you? Those were probably the two main for me. Main ones.
There's been some sporadic ones, and there's been some other times, like the ex-guys coming in that one place and beating the crap out of the straight edge kids.
Oh, yeah. That sucked.
So I thought it was a cool venue, and then that happened, and then it was like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Remember we played the back of that anarchist bookstore, and it was like we had to like take our gear up and down, like it was like 3 or 4 flights of stairs, but it was like a rickety wooden staircase. It was like a crisscross, and it was like outside in the snow.
Where was it?
I was in Ann Arbor, and like we played for very few people.
Oh, I think I remember it.
Yeah, we played some weird places, some skate parks.
Sucked.
Church or 3.
Played some places.
My favorite show we ever played, I may have told this on the show before, I don't know, but when you, me, and Jimmy were in Rain is Wet, and it was my birthday, and we played in Dayton, Ohio.
The Tree Bar?
Oh, no, not the Tree Bar. That was Columbus. Whatever I don't even remember the name of the fucking venue in Dayton. All I remember is that like we played for the band that played after us, and we played for the staff, and there was nobody else there. But it was my birthday, and I was in a good mood, and they played Afghan Wigs Black Love twice in a row for me because it was my birthday.
That's awesome. I remember 5 seconds of it. And I remember he's like a long-haired guitarist dude who kind of looked like looked like he could have been a member of like Big Liquid back in the day.
Yeah, it was like the big band that played after us was like very much like a Candlebox kind of thing. Yeah, they were really friendly and not what we liked, but
right, not what we liked. Yeah,
like we literally played for them in the bar. And it was one of my favorite shows ever. Go fucking figure.
I do remember that. I think it was pretty cool. And then I remember later that night, I think I slept underneath the sink, like in the hotel.
I don't remember that.
Some dumb crap.
We were drinking a lot back in those days.
You don't say. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I do remember that.
Yeah, I miss playing shows. I have a hard time imagining myself throwing my body around the stage, Dave Yao like.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I used to just treat my body like a rag doll during those shows, and I could not do that now.
I'd be scared, not because I think I'd kill myself, but just because, for all of us, like the sciatica, if I get sciatica again, man, I'm done for like weeks. I can't move. I'm crying. Oh, it's tough.
We are up there.
Getting older. Oh, well.
Fun. So do you want to come back on the show and talk about another album?
Yes.
What do you got in mind at this point? Is there anything, I mean, you can do anything you want, like I said, pretty much.
One Foot in the Grave. I don't know if Back One Foot in the Grave has been done.
Yes, please. When I started this podcast, that was one of the main ones I wanted to talk about. It's one of my
Okay, because that one has a special place because it felt like I could play acoustic guitar.
Yes, I would love to talk about that album with you.
Every
I love
song
that album
is
so
rad.
much. Yes,
I could
yes.
revisit it.
Okay,
Cool.
awesome. We've got it figured out. I'm looking forward to that.
Rad.
Cool. Well, dude, thank you so much. I mean, I'm always happy to do this with you.
Yeah, man, this is great. I love this shit. This is what I like to do.
Me too. Yeah, this is why I started the podcast. How can I talk to my friends more and talk to them about music more? Well, here we are.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure out a way. Yeah. Other than this, I'd be, with my stuffed animals playing dumb guitar chords right over there. So this is great. I love it.
Is that your plan for the rest of this Friday night?
Well, I'm actually going to. My friend texted me. I'm probably going to walk on across the street and get some tacos,
Nice.
and then I might hang out and hit one of those recovery type meetings. I'm not
Cool.
sure.
Cool.
But yeah.
I ordered some Buddy's Pizza, and I had that right before I talked to you from the original on
Fuck
Conant
you.
Street.
Fuck you.
I was gonna send you a pic, but I didn't want to
Oh
risk
man,
my knife in the wound.
they love Jets down. They love Jets down here.
They don't even know. They don't even
Yeah, I
know.
know. That's why I'm like, that Jets is good, but you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm gonna sit around here and eat my leftover Buddies and veg.
Yeah, right on.
All right, buddy. Well, enjoy your night. Enjoy your tacos in recovery. Good seeing you. Much love. Thanks for doing this again.
Many abundant blessings, sir. Thank you so much.
And a good day to you, sir. Thanks again to Morgan for coming out and talking about the Jesus Lizard and telling an embarrassing story about our days back when we drank too much and were on stage. We forgot to mention that, I don't know if it really matters. I don't know if it's that important. We don't always have to bring Nirvana into the fucking story, but it's a fun fact that the song from this album called Puss was also on a split with Nirvana called Oh the Guilt that came out in 1993 on Touch and Go. One of the funny things about doing this podcast, at least the way that I do it with my own idiosyncrasies, everyone's got their own way of doing their own weird shit. For some reason, when I record these outros and these intros for these episodes, that's it. Like, I don't go back and fix them if I leave shit out. For instance, it's been bugging me for weeks that when I released the episode where I talked about the band's album Jericho, I just kind of referred to them as the band, which made it sound like I was talking about the album, The Band by the Band, but I was talking about Jericho by the Band, which I talked about with Morgan here. Anyways, that's the kind of shit that keeps me up at night. I'm sure you really are interested in that. If you want to come on this show, you are very welcome to. If you're a Jesus Lizard fan, perhaps you want to talk about, well, I don't know, the Jesus Lizard. They released in 93 the EP Lash. They released in 93 the live album Show, which Morgan mentioned. They released in 94 the album Down. All of this was on Touch and Go Records. Maybe you want to come on and talk about any of those albums. That'd be fun. Or whatever you want from 93 and 94. Give me a shout. You can reach me at 9394podcast@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. Please, like, subscribe, follow, rate, review, do all that stuff. It helps. I appreciate it. Ooh, is there anything else? No, I don't think there's anything else. I'll let you go now. Thank you for your time. 9394, a music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.